Yeah, exactly. Nothing in the gate bias.
It's day 3 and it's grey and overcast with little sign of the 8 to 9 knots of breeze that the forecast shows. Normally this would be the topic of conversation as teams prepare to head out. But today the big talking point is the pre-start penalty from yesterday's race. This was an incident that brought both boats close to disaster. Fortunately it didn't, and it's been a great deal of debate about it. At this morning's media briefing by Chief Umpire Richard Slater, he explained the incident and the rationale behind the umpire's decision. It's well worth listening to. In the meantime, with the score at 3-0 and just one race scheduled for today, the Kiwis will be looking to gain momentum. The British will be looking to stop them in their tracks. It's been a long night, full of debate. Today, it looks like being another tense and stress-filled day. You might argue that's just what the Cup is about. It's been a long night for these guys, but today they've got to put all of that behind them, go out there and actually deliver a result. It's so hard to imagine what the stress must be like, but somehow they've got to cut through it and put a point on the board.
Okay, I'll show you what the umpires saw. We see the anti-clockwise turn by GBR. We see both boats do a pretty aggressive turn towards each other. The umpires had New Zealand hold, GBR keep aiming a little bit longer, and then New Zealand bailing out and GBR bailing out down. They got to about between 2 and 5 metres, 2 metres between the hull and the foil and 5 metres between the foils longitudinally, and we penalised GBR. We just had a frank and fruitful discussion with people from GBR, and while they disagree, they felt that New Zealand just dialed them down. The umpires felt that when New Zealand sort of got onto a course and held, GBR then spent about roughly 2 seconds holding, if not turning up slightly, which put New Zealand in a position where they thought there'd be a contact, so New Zealand took an option to come down. The GBR believes that New Zealand just hunted them down and never gave them to keep clear. And I think where we left it is we were agreeing to disagree.
Given the issues of the last 24 hours, no one was sure whether today would deliver an aggressive head-to-head or a standoff in the pre-start. While it wasn't the latter, there was still very little engagement. Instead, both teams looked more set on accurate time on distance runs into the start line. And when the flag dropped, both were spot on. But it was INEOS Britannia that crossed the line with 2 knots more boat speed. This allowed them to inch ahead of the Kiwis, who were to leeward, as they both headed out to the boundary on the left-hand side. As the pair tacked onto port, the British put on the squeeze and managed to bounce the Kiwis back off to the left. INEOS had the upper hand, and when the pair came back together, they were able to force the port-tack Kiwis to go behind. For British supporters, this was the match they wanted to see. But the margins were small, and when the pair came back together, it was INEOS that were preparing to do the duck under the Kiwis. But Emirates Team New Zealand performed their tack onto port to lay the top gate to perfection. Not only had they got the side of the course that they wanted, they bounced the British off to the other mark. As they rounded the separate marks, there was nothing between them on the clock. When they met on the downwind leg, they were head-to-head again. But at the bottom, the Kiwis rounded 3 seconds ahead and managed to pick the preferred side of the second beat. From here, the Kiwis sailed an immaculate race, covering the British while identifying and taking the best of the breeze. It was a performance that in the end gave them a win by 23 seconds.
So we ended up way later than we thought, but it did a
good job getting a little trigger pull and just getting enough off that first boundary to keep in the race. But yeah, awesome race.
Yeah, it was obviously a tight start, and we had a bit of work to do to get off the boundary on the left side, but when we had the opportunity to cross over to the right side, which we thought was pretty strong, we managed to get a little gain and get in at the top mark with the right turn there. So that was pretty much where we sort of got back into the race, and I think we've made a step forward again with the performance of the boat and getting it tacking nicely. So going really well upwind. So yeah, obviously very happy with the result and plenty to come still.
Yeah, every win on the board's obviously a super nice one. Yeah, it felt a lot more like a boat race today than the one yesterday. Obviously, boats getting pretty close together there. So it's nice just to keep marching forward. It feels like we're improving a lot as a group as we go through these races. Excited to keep pushing forward.
I think that's right. It's a good opportunity to take it there ashore, try and figure out how we can find some gains. Clearly they're going really well. I think we have our moments, but still there are moments where we're losing a click, and I think that's really the difference. So yeah, I mean, we're going to keep going, we'll push all the way here. They've obviously had a strong start, but we can still come back from this.
I think it's getting closer and closer every time. So it's not a big step we've got to make, just a little one. And I think we've done a good job so far of making those little steps forward. So one more little click, and I think it's going to swing our way.
Each day after racing, teams come to speak with the media. After the fun and games of the last 24 hours, and with the scoreline slipping more and more into Kiwi control, there were plenty of questions being asked.
Well, it's obviously been a long time since we sailed, so we feel like we're getting better and better all the time, just making less and less mistakes around the racetrack. And yeah, just really excited to carry on the competition, really. We feel like we're really on the rise, and we've, I suppose, been targeting that the whole time to be improving right till the last race. And we're looking forward to the day on shore tomorrow to get through a few things we wanted to do. And we've been learning a lot over these races, and looking forward to going and executing again on Wednesday.
Just going back to that pre-start, was that a conscious decision from the team not to engage, given you've been the wrong side of a few umpires? Did you just want to keep it clean and make your own start?
Yeah, I mean, these pre-starts are quite, they're mixing up quite a lot. I guess we saw with Luna Rossa that there was a bit of a pattern that they had and what they like to do, and I think at the minute what we're seeing between ourselves and Team New Zealand is that we're both happy to mix it up. So yeah, we kind of have to play it as it comes, for sure we were kind of disappointed with what we had yesterday, and nice to be able to prove a point today and get a good start.
At the top of that first beat, you just lost out on the sort of the favoured right side potentially. Do you think that was the key moment of the race? You mentioned you were still in it at the bottom end, but it felt like had you got your noses in front at that point, perhaps you could have been a different story.
Potentially, I mean, we think we've got some good performance downwind, kind of straight line and in the jibes. But yeah, as I say, we were still in it at the bottom end, and we had a couple of close crosses down that run. So yeah, it was a close race, and I think it's going to be very, very small differences in performance that gets one team ahead of the other here in this racing. So we'll have to work hard tomorrow and make sure that we get get in front on Wednesday.
Bledin, how valuable is tomorrow's day off? Well, not day off, but reserve day.
Yeah, I can assure you it won't be a day off tomorrow. This competition is incredibly intense, and everybody's going to be putting all the effort they can in tomorrow to work out where we can get any further bits of performance out of Britannia. We've been doing that each day so far, and we can see in our own numbers that we are making improvements. So yeah, tomorrow is going to be another valuable day for us to analyse where we're at the minute, and come out firing on Wednesday.
And has Ben actually said, just remember, San Francisco, 34th America's Cup, one day made a difference then as well?
Yeah, I'm not sure anybody needs reminding of that. I mean, that was incredible comeback back then, and I mean, there's still plenty of racing to go here, so we're going to push hard all the way till the end.
That yesterday, what happened? I mean, it can't have been fun to be in the middle of all of that. What was your state of mind last night and getting back in? I mean, it was pretty ferocious. Obviously, Ben lost his temper. How was that for you?
It was okay last night. You were obviously frustrated that in the decision that the umpires made, but at the end of the day this is racing. I guess at the time I was sort of more worried about the risk, you know, that was associated. We were doing everything we could and we didn't feel like we instigated it. So, but that's racing, and you know the umpires chose the Kiwis at the end of the day.
You mentioned you've been on the wrong side of a few calls in this, and you're not sure why that is. Obviously the umpires have never been you've sailed in these AC75s before, and very few people have, I guess. They should be making more allowances for what the sailors are telling them about what's happening on water, or what do you feel? You know?
I think that we're just looking for consistency. As long as they're, you know, consistent and we can understand like how they're using the rules, then we're happy with it.
Have you heard the outcome of the debrief already from Ian?
Yeah, we have heard, but we'll keep that quiet.
So now, with the score at 4-0, the Kiwi momentum is in full swing. Tomorrow is a reserve day, which gives INEOS time to regroup and figure out what they can do to turn the tide. To beat the Kiwis is going to be tough, but those who witnessed the 34th America's Cup in San Francisco will know how sometimes one day can set a team on a path to do just that. See you on Wednesday when the racing gets back underway.